can't have both.
Really good question. By the way, you are such a good interviewer. All of your questions are solid questions.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
I've had my fair share of like, is that a cell phone? And then I have to come back into my world, you know.
I had to read lines, and I was like, I don't do that.
And I always start my songwriting with lyrics.
Here I have over 200 people to feed almost solely, you know.
I got shout out Mark. He gave me that idea. Thank you, man.
And show the graphic images of those children.
God, yes. That's exactly it.
Yes. I feel like we've all had this experience.
Everyone's gonna get the picture or they're not. So everyone was really, really nice.
And I wanted to do something a bit more direct.
Susanna, do you want to do a documentary? And she's like, yes. I'm like, great. Here you go.
Wow.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts Media, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday morning, the 9th of May, 2023. And I want to thank Callie Roses for joining me last week. She was a ton of fun, got a great sense of humor, and I really enjoyed having her here. And speaking of coming up, at 12:30 p.m. Pacific today, I have Tobias Gustafsson from the Swedish death metal legends Vomitory scheduled to join me. They have a brand new album coming out, which is their first in about 12 years. So really looking forward to talking to Tobias about the new album and his drum technique and everything else. And if you want to know what else I have coming up, please follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram. That's where I post everything first, and some of that information migrates over to other social media channels. And if this is your first time watching me or joining me on my YouTube channel or on Twitch, please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell on YouTube. And if you follow me over on Twitch, I will follow you over there. And before we get started with the interview and everything else, I would like to show the trailer for the film that my guest has directed. So I will be joining you right back in about 2 minutes here. So here we go with the trailer.
I had no idea who they were, but this 4 minutes worth of music, I was like hooked.
The queens of rock and roll, Fanny.
Take care of yourself. This is your story.
Fanny is iconic, truly before their time. Men coveted rock and roll, that was theirs.
This is a girl with an instrument on. So, okay, this is a game changer.
Fanny was the first all-woman rock band that could really play and really get some credibility within the musician community.
So we broke through that barrier, and it wasn't through talking. We just fucking did it.
There was so much pressure all the time. I mean, you have to remember how young we were and how scared we were, really.
We're brown, and nobody knows where the Philippines is. And many times when I felt worthless and challenged.
It was hard. Being gay was still a disease. You could not be a lesbian in Fanny.
They're like my sisters. I've known them since I was 16.
Ooh, baby, won't you give your love to me?
Being in a rock band gave us a place to belong. We were all different together.
You make me right.
They made 5 records. You know, the Go-Go's get a lot of attention for what we did, and we only made 3 records.
They didn't have that #1 hit in the platinum records that the other bands had, but those other bands wouldn't have had those platinum records if Fanny didn't open the door. It's always the ones that started that get fucked.
Let's go back to where it all began. 17, then we started a band.
If I had many lines in my face as Keith Richards, I don't know that we would have been offered a record deal.
On the road, girls on the go, doing what we knew was gonna save our souls.
Rocking is a metaphor. When you fail, you pick yourself back up again.
They were considered badass, and they still are.
My big joke with my friends now, maybe I'll be famous when I'm 80.
My guest today is a talented filmmaker from our neighbors to the north. Her current film is called Fanny, The Right to Rock, which we just showed the trailer for, which will be premiering on PBS on May 22nd with a special Fanny performance at the Whiskey down in LA on May 17th. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Media virtual studio, Miss BOBBI Jo HART.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Bob.
everybody.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for taking the time. This morning for me. I really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. And thanks for playing the trailer. I always rock out to it whenever I was just like off screen, just rocking out.
Yeah, I saw you in what's considered the green room here on this platform. I saw you doing the lyrics.
Exactly.
I love it. I can't wait to dive into this film. So kind of right from the get-go, what is the timeline for when you were making this film? Because I know, having had a chance to talk to many filmmakers, some of them, it takes 8 years to make, some of them it's 2 years. Where did you start this to when you got it to a point of getting it to film festivals and getting it out to the people?
Well, I first discovered the band because I did not know about Fanny. It was a discovery for me like it was for you. And my daughter was 12. She's now 18. So I guess it's been like 6 or 7 years since I discovered them. I was looking for a guitar for my daughter on the Taylor Guitar website, and they had a section on the menu items called stories. So I went down that rabbit hole and looking at all these different people and their stories. And up comes this photo of this woman with this flaming gray hair, which was June Millington, the lead guitarist of Fanny. And the whole story was there as well on the site. And I just was... I was blown away. I was so excited to discover this new band of all women who played their own instruments, wrote their own songs, from the 70s. But then I was also like, after the excitement, it just hit me like, how come I didn't know about them? So I was pissed off at the same time. And those are usually the two primary ingredients for me to want to do a film, that I really am excited by discovering, people and way, and what they're doing and their way of life. And then also realizing that people don't really know about them or don't know about that perspective. So, I'm really drawn to the underdogs or, people in marginalized communities. Because I think, growing up, I actually grew up in the States. I live in Montreal, but I'm a dual citizen. And growing up in California and Oregon, our family was, struggling. We were a blue collar family. I'm the first of my family to go to college. And, we were at times on food stamps, to survive. And so I know what it's like to come from challenging circumstances, at least from my own perspective. We all each have our own perspectives of what challenging is for us, but I just developed an empathy and a sensitivity for people, and, trying to put myself in their shoes, or just trying to listen and be empathetic. And stories are such a universal way of connecting us to each other that, Fanny was a no-brainer for me. As soon as I discovered them, I was dreaming to make a film about them.
That's so interesting. And we share some things in common. I used to work as a teacher. And so the folks I work with special needs. I work with foster care children. I work with gang-involved youth. I've always been a very empathetic person, trying to put myself in someone else's circumstances. And also trying to shine a light on, especially with this platform, that there are things I do with my media outlet. So it's great when you find those things. And at the same time, like you said it so perfectly. You're just like, how come I haven't heard of this band? But at the same time, it also pisses you off that you haven't heard of this band.
Yes.
And more people don't know about them.
Exactly. And so you kind of have, as a documentary filmmaker, because it's a really hard road to make documentary films. You get the 1% of the films that you see at the Academy Awards, or they get really wide release, or get, that get handpicked at Sundance and get the $10 million deal. But that is just 0.0001% of people are making that kind of money. That, the 99% plus are really struggling from film to film. I'm also a producer of the film, a co-producer. So I'm raising the money, pitching it to try to get, writing grants. And so you really, to help to get through that long process of raising the financing, trying to make the film and craft the story, or catch that lightning in a bottle, as it was with Fanny, following them reuniting with a new rock record deal. You really have to have that and maintain that passion for the story and for passion for telling the story in order to buoy you through all of the inevitable ups and downs of this industry. So, here we are 6 years or so later, and yeah, I'm still super pumped about the band, super pumped about the PBS broadcast. I mean, it was just on BBC last Friday in the UK, and we're doing this cross California tour, the Revivify tour, and that title is inspired by David Bowie's quote in the December '99 Rolling Stone magazine, where he said, "Revivify Fanny, and I will feel my work is done." And I literally found a copy of that Rolling Stone magazine on eBay because I needed to see it like myself. I needed to hold that Rolling Stone magazine, and because I'd heard little mentions of it, and I thought, okay, is this for real? Did he really say this? And then realized that he was friends with the band. He was a huge fan of the band, and so just so many reasons that this story needed to be told. I mean, to help David Bowie revivify the band and, hopefully buoy them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next year. It's a pretty amazing journey that I'm honored to be part of, man.
Yeah, and it's what's so wonderful also is that you just happened upon this story. It wasn't something like you were a fan of the band back in the 70s and was like, oh, I need to find out what they're doing now. It's like, no, I didn't know who they were. I'm trying to buy a guitar for my daughter. And then I went down this rabbit hole through the guitar maker's website.
Exactly. I mean, I really believe my favorite word is serendipity. I really love that word, happy coincidences. And I believe if you're following, your curiosity throughout your life, like I hope I'm curious till my last breath and curious like a child to learn about life, learn about people, be open to other perspectives, ways of life, open to learning and growing. And so that curiosity and that, I think curiosity feeds serendipity too. Because if you're curious and you're following your interests, that I think I don't know. I think it's a catalyst for serendipity. So being curious, I could have just been looking at guitars on that website, but I see the little mention of stories and I, go down that little rabbit hole, as I said. And, each of my films really have happened that way, where I just, discovered something and it really made me want to, help bring that story to a wider audience. Because after 25 years, I guess, of making films, the through line or the thread that connects all the films is celebrating our shared humanity, finding the threads that connect us. We all have families, we all fall in love, we all have dreams, highs and lows and better days and worse days. And, if a film that I make can connect people on that level, no matter what the person's background is, their identity, but we can all connect with the idea somebody has a parent that they love or have lost, or that they're falling in love and it's working out or not working out, or having a dream and struggling and falling down and having to pick yourself back up, which June Millington says, in the film is like, rock and roll is a metaphor, for life. You fall down, you got to pick yourself up, and so that resilience, that determination, I'm really drawn to. And man, these women, June Millington just turned 75, the lead guitarist, and they're going on this like 12-day tour with me. I'm leaving on Thursday to LA and we're cruising all over California for film screening at the Grammy Museum, as you said, the Whiskey, and, so many other events, at Cam Fest in San Francisco, and the Yerba Buena Gardens, like a big outdoor concert, with Ruby Ibarra and Pibu and the Cats, opening for them, young Asian American women up and coming in the industry. And so I love that intergenerational aspect that we've woven in throughout the tours of, film festivals, et cetera, often having, local bands of young women perform on stage alone or with Fanny. And, just wanting to keep that momentum, to help expose a wider public to this Fanny story, their incredible musicianship, but also the barriers that they fought and have, smashed through and just kept going no matter what, whether it's racism, sexism, ageism, I mean, look at Michelle Yeoh at the Academy Awards, I'm in my prime, you know, which was, I think in no uncertain terms, a little kind of oomph to somebody on CNN that was, you know, dissing a woman running for politics and, you know, oh, she's past her prime in her 50s. I mean, that is just BS, you know? I mean, we really need to stop saying things like that and people to stop believing things like that because I mean, I'm 57. I feel like I'm just entering my prime. I really feel just like, oh, I've learned so much and I have so much more to do. And here's Fanny in their 70s and they're feeling in their prime and like, you know, writing new songs and touring. And so I really, you know, that excites me that this film also just, for lack of a better word, you know, normalizes women of any age just kicking ass and taking names, you know?
I couldn't agree more. You said several things in there that definitely stood out to me, and it's so badass that June 75 ain't gonna be on the stage kicking ass, and I love it so much. Yeah, I saw my first concert when I was 9 years old, and I haven't looked back. And I'm gonna be 53 in next month, actually. Now I think about it. So, and there's definitely, you know, the ageism aspect, the homophobia that they dealt with, just all kinds of different things that. I think there's the interview snippet from the bass player with David Bowie. Talks about like they couldn't have stacked the deck worse against them in terms of all the things.
Yes, Gail Ann Dorsey. Yeah, that was she said so much in that one line.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just I love the fact that I think we share this in common about being curious. I've said this many times during my interviews that I'm curious by nature. So when I see something, I just want to find out more about it. I love being educated about something. Anytime I learn something new is a good day, the way I look at it. And you kind of put those things together, serendipitous things happen. I'm a believer in manifestation as well. What you put out, it's what you tend to get back. And man, in this case with Fanny, I'm just like, and I think that a key piece for this, for people that are watching this who aren't familiar with the band, like we weren't initially, is that they're tremendous musicians. People think about girl groups and doing all the vocals and stuff from Motown and all that back then. It's like, these are like fucking badass rocking musicians who happen to be women. Some are also openly, well, not openly back then, but are gay. And you have all these other aspects going on. But when you watch the music, and any musician out there that watches, you can, damn, they can play.
Exactly. I mean, they could play and they still play. Like, as you say, like they were the first all women band to release an LP on a major label in 1970, you know, with Warner Reprise. But they were a self-formed band in high school in Sacramento, the Smelts, you know, and playing in their backyard, dozens and dozens of people, as you saw her, you know, June's brother in the film saying they'd just come up to the fence and be watching them in the backyard. And, you know, they, you know, mostly self-taught musicians, like surrounding themselves by other accomplished musicians that they can learn from. Really, really talented, super talented musicians. They always played their own instruments, and they were so dedicated to improving their craft, like any musician. You know, people say all-female rock band, but I dream of the day when we could just say a band. You know, because I even said it. You know, the first all-female band to release an album with a major label, because it's still this anomaly. You know, especially in rock and roll, like a lot of women in music, but how many all women rock bands do you know? Can you say on, you know, one hand right now today that are getting really well promoted, you know, whether it's on, you know, rock radio stations or at festivals? I mean, I've seen a lot through the process of making this film. I went to some rock festivals and they have like one token women's band. And I even sent them dozens that I discovered before the festival saying, hey, look, there's all these amazing bands out there. You know, it's just like, you know, Jackknife Stiletto or, you know, The Warning from Mexico, Three Sisters. I mean, there's so many amazing, young, talented, super talented rock bands. And it's just frustrating to see, but it's still, you know, there's still a long ways to go for women to be the gatekeepers of a lot of, you know, whether it's at record labels or festivals, et cetera, or radio stations, to be like, you know, the DJ at a rock radio station and be, you know, able to, you know, and pick those songs that are by all women bands and make sure they're getting, you know, the proper radio play. And men, of course, can be doing that too, you know, like, you know, the He for She, you know, United UN Women campaign, you know, He for She campaign is all about, we can't have full equality for women until men join in buoying women up. You know, it's just about wanting an equal playing field you know, and so I think that campaign's a really cool campaign. You know, it's hashtag he for she. And otherwise, just, you know, it's just nice, you know, for the band too. I mean, Gene says in the film, maybe I'll be famous when I'm 80, you know? And June is the oldest of the bandmates who just turned 75. And so I say, you know, I mean, Link Ray just got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just announced this week, you know, and a film was just done a couple years ago on him, Rumble, you know, and, you know, First Nations contributions to rock and roll by a very dear friend of mine, Catherine Bainbridge, who happens to be an EP, like exec producer on this film. And, you know, and then the Go-Go's, the, you know, documentary done on the Go-Go's. And then, you know, not long after that, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so, you know, I had a chat with Kathy Valentine last week on the phone, and, you know, she said something really powerful. She said, you know, Bobby, I was thinking about it. And, you know, for Fanny, I think she says, we were in the 80s, you know, when the Go-Go's hit the scene. And that's when I was in high school. You know, I was a big Go-Go's fan as well. And said, we were in the age of MTV, you know, I want my MTV. And there was the video, and there was just, they had a lot more opportunity for visibility. And so a lot of bands and women musicians are standing on Fanny's shoulders. And sometimes they don't even realize they're standing on Fanny's shoulders, that Fanny broke through. I mean, it was a new thing for Warner Reprise to do this and to have an all women band. And, you know, they're struggling to figure out how to promote them. And, you know, that's part of, I think the sad part too, is that the promotion of the band, I felt it could have been a lot deeper. You know, you didn't know the band. There were queer bandmates, you know, in the band, June and Alice. You didn't know that they were Asian American, you know, Filipino American bandmates in the band. You didn't really know, or very few journalists ever asked about their musicianship. You know, where did you get your tone? Or, you know, tell us about the songs you're writing, you know, and because they wrote so many. I mean, they wrote all their own songs. That they did like one cover on each album, just, you know, because it was fun to do a cover. And but they wrote, you know, incredible songs, and they played their asses off. I mean, while they did they released 5 albums between 70 and 74. I mean, that's incredible. And they were critically acclaimed. There were, you know, so many journalists, and whether it was the New York Times or even in Rolling Stone, and I think 72 did a great review, but they just couldn't quite break through. And so it seemed to be a combination of their lack of visibility, and also just society needing to catch up to accept this idea of a powerful woman. I mean, you look at that poster that way. The reason I selected this woman, you know, with the rock hand signal, and she has, you know, Filipina tattoos on her arm, and, you know, the Statue of Liberty and the 70s headphones, and yet California in the background. So it's an interplay of a lot of elements. But to me, the Statue of Liberty, you know, give me your cold and huddled masses. You know, Statue of Liberty is meant to be a symbol to welcome everyone to our country. And like I said, I'm born and raised in the United States. So that is my home and native land. And, you know, we need this kind of messaging now more than ever, you know, of inclusion, of welcoming. And so to me, that image of not only the kind of an ode to the Statue of Liberty, but also not a demure Statue of Liberty. It's a woman rocking out with her mouth open and just like, whoa, you know, like speaking her voice, speaking her truth, and speaking it loudly. And, you know, that's something I think in society that would be nice to be more normalized too, is that if a woman raises her voice, it's often, I've been in so many settings, you know, where, oh, calm down, honey, you know, or if a man raises his voice, it's like, oh, that's a strong, let's listen, you know, kind of father figure. And it's not to say that I would be someone that would listen to that strong voice of a man in a meeting because I had a strong father, but to normalize women having a strong voice, I think is healthy for everyone, because we do have something to say. You know, young women coming up have something to say, and it's important we listen to them, and that we realize that sometimes saying something loud is an expression of, you know, it's a freedom. It's an expression of a release of, and it's something that should be welcomed in our society. So we had lots of fun with that in the film, because here you are following an all women rock band, who sings loud and proud. And so, it's, just the film, the characters in the film, the bandmates, and the film itself, it just oozes all of that, which is really exciting to see, and so nice to see all of the, festival accolades. It won the Audience Choice Award at Hot Docs, which is huge. And, to have the audiences voting for it and selecting it, that, to me, that's such an honor, because they're the people sitting in the theater watching it. There's, really no politics involved. It's just, how are they connecting to that film? So that was the award that the film won, that, one of the most special to me because of that, because it was an Audience Choice Award. And I'm just so thrilled, that it's a slow burn of a project. It's 6 years, and we delayed release of the film during COVID because I just couldn't bring myself to release the film the year that most likely every film festival was going to be online. And I thought, oh my God, Fanny's waited 50 years and now we're going to have to do all these. I mean, it's great to do this online, interview with you because we're not in the same place, but to have had the whole festival tour, which it would have been online, I just couldn't do it. So luckily Hot Docs and some other festivals were all really supportive and said, okay, yeah, we'll wait. We'll release it next year. And so that was really special, because it also gave me more time to just finesse elements in the film, bring on someone like the animator, Cara Blake, who worked with my editor, Catherine Legault, on just, and myself on finessing these beautiful, contact sheets and photos by Linda Wolf or Sherry Rain Barnett, and just animated effects, or the sticker Get Behind Fanny, and just playing with those elements just to kind of bring, it makes a difference when the photos and visuals come to life more. It just breathes better. And so that was a real gift to be able to do that, and just to, film a couple more interviews. And, so it's been a magical journey, I have to say.
Yeah, no, it's you said so many things that are so awesome. And I think one of the best things is that, folks, when you watch this film, you do feel like you're on that journey with the band. You feel like you're going along with it. You're not just kind of someone on the sideline just kind of watching it from afar. It's like, no, you feel like you're in the thick of it with them, and all the things that they went through, and also where they're at now with the band. And it's just it's fascinating. And I think the other plus of this is you don't have to be a musician to like this movie. There's such a human interest element to it that it'll appeal to audiences far and wide.
That's a really good point, because as I said earlier, I like each film to connect with people through those common threads that unite us, and who doesn't love music? It's, I think, something that we all turn to for solace, for inspiration. And you don't have to know about Fanny to love the film. You're going to learn about them. You're going to, watch them on this incredible journey and all these amazing archive photos. I mean, I had 80 photos from Linda Wolf, who was literally living with Fanny at Fanny Hill, with their band home in the Hollywood Hills in the 70s. And just a lot of archive video that we unearthed as well, including when they were in high school. So it's a really, I was really honored to be able to bring all these elements together. You can only tell so much of their incredible story in an hour and a half, but I'm really happy that they all resonate with the film, and that the film is a catalyst. You can Google Fanny, rock band on YouTube, and so many cool archive videos of their live performances. You get a taste of them in the film, but there's a ton online. And, Fanny, as I said, is touring across California, and who knows where else they may go after this. But, the story, I think, appeals to anyone that just wants to feel accepted in their lives, and to feel that they can pursue what they love in life without, unfair boundaries, to really, be yourself, and to, live and pursue your dreams.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think one other thing I want to ask as we kind of wrap this up is most rock bands, especially people of my generation, We love physical media. Are there any plans down the road for the movie to actually come out on a DVD or a Blu-ray with special features and extra things that we didn't get to see?
Yeah, actually, the DVD is out.
Oh.
Yes. So I think it's on Amazon, but our USA distributor is Film Movement. And if you go to their website and the Fanny page, you'll see all the places, like, well, the links where you can buy the DVD. And there's 50 minutes of extras on the DVD. Some really fun stuff. So yeah, we definitely have the physical DVD is out there, which you can play in your Blu-ray, machine. So, it's out there, and there's a lot of great extra footage there for sure.
Well, I need to make a purchase then because
yes,
it's awesome. Bobby, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the film and for everybody to get a chance to see it. And also, in some cases, if you're in California, actually see the band play, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if people go to the CAM website, Center for Asian American Media, if they go to that website, you'll see there's links of where to see the band across California. And so, the film is playing at the Grammy Museum on May 16th in LA, and at the CAM Fest on May 19th in San Francisco. And in Sacramento, it's pretty cool. So if anyone's listening in Sacramento, that's where Fanny started as a, Fanny, that's where the high school band, the Svelte, started, which eventually morphed into being Fanny. But June, Jean, and Bree are all from that area. And so I'm traveling there with 5 Fanny bandmates, June, Jean, Bree, Alice, and Patty. And the local PBS station has rented the, Crest Theater, this historic theater in Sacramento. And they're going to be on the night that it is broadcast across the country on PBS, May 22nd. That's the same night it's going to be playing live at the Crest Theater in Sacramento. And Fanny's going to play a full concert set after the film. And tickets are going fast, but there are, I think, some still available. So if you go to, in Sacramento, the Crest Theater, CREST Theater, if you're in Sacramento or the Bay Area and you want to come and experience that explosion of a night as well. And at CAMFest, like I said, on the May 19th, we'll be at the SF MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco. And the next day, May 20th, I think from 1 to 3 p.m. at Yerba Buena Gardens. So yeah, I hope you can join us and get behind Fanny.
Oh, that's awesome. Again, Bobby, thank you so much for taking the time, and I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the success with the film and for the band and just everything related to Fanny and what you're doing. It's also amazing that you made this film.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time, Mark, and have a great day, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Thanks.